Chapter 9. The Habits of Personal Effectiveness. Edward George Bulwer Lytton wrote, "The man who succeeds above his fellows is the one who early in life clearly discerns his object and toward that object habitually directs his powers." Abraham Maslow, the transpersonal psychologist, once wrote, "The ultimate end of human life is to become everything you are capable of becoming. Your purpose should be to fulfill your potential as a human being and to accomplish every goal you can possibly set for yourself. Your aim should be to get the very most out of yourself in every area of your life." Some people accomplish an extraordinary amount with their lives as opposed to the great majority who accomplish very little. These peak performers or self-actualizers seem to earn more money, have better families, friends, and relationships, enjoy higher levels of health and energy, achieve much higher levels of success, esteem, and prestige in their fields, and live longer, happier lives than the average. This should be your goal as well. The determinant of high performance. The only difference between the high performers and the low performers is their habits. High-performing, successful, happy men and women are those who have taken the time and disciplined themselves to develop the habits that lead them onward and upward in every area of their lives. Unsuccessful, unhappy people, on the other hand, are those who have not yet developed those habits. The good news is that you can learn whatever habits and behaviors you consider desirable and necessary. The only limits are the ones you place on yourself, and the only question you need to ask is, how badly do you want it? If you're willing to work on yourself long enough and hard enough, you can shape yourself into the kind of excellent person you are capable of becoming. No matter what you have done or failed to do in the past, at any time you can draw a line through your previous life and decide that your future is going to be different. You can begin thinking different thoughts, making different choices, taking different actions, and developing different habits that will lead you inevitably to the successes that are possible for you. Personal strategic planning. The purpose of strategic planning in a business is to increase return on equity, or ROE. Planning is meant to improve the financial results of the business. In the same way, the purpose of personal strategic planning is to increase ROE, or return on energy. It is to increase your return on life. The aim is for you to reorganize your life in such a way that you are earning the highest possible returns on the mental, emotional, and physical equity invested in your life. Your goal is to use your time to achieve the greatest amount of pleasure, satisfaction, and rewards from everything you do, every hour of every day, and this is very much under your personal control. To maximize your potential, you must develop the habit of personal strategic planning. You must invest the time and effort to think through and plan your life in advance to ensure that you get the very best possible results in every area. With personal strategic planning, you develop the habits of future orientation and long-time perspective. These habits enable you to project forward in your life and determine exactly what you want to accomplish and where you want to end up at a specific point in the future. Think long-term. The greater clarity you have regarding your long-term goals, the better and more accurate decisions you will make in the short term to ensure that you achieve your goals on schedule. For example, if you decide that you are going to be a self-made millionaire 10 or 20 years from now, or even earlier, you set that as your long-term financial goal. You then assess your current situation and determine how much you are worth today. You draw a line from where you are today to where you want to be at a certain date in the future and plan out a roadmap of exactly how you're going to get to your goal in the time that you have allotted. The rule is this: be clear about the goal, but be flexible about the process of achieving it. Be open to the possibility that many things will change on the road to your long-term goal. As long as your goal is clear, you can continue to remain flexible and open-minded. You can reevaluate and try different methods. You can accept feedback and self-correct. You can go over, around, and through obstacles and even decide to go in a completely different direction. This is the normal and natural process of getting from wherever you are to any long-term goal. Review your goals daily. Develop the habit of daily goal setting. As I suggested earlier, get a spiral notebook and rewrite your current goals every morning before you start out, in the present tense, as though they were already accomplished. Writing your goals by hand programs them deeper and deeper into your subconscious mind. This causes all kinds of remarkable things to happen that move you toward your goals and attract your goals toward you, sometimes by the most remarkable coincidences. The habit of daily goal setting seems to act like a turbocharger on your potential, moving you more rapidly towards your goals than you ever thought possible. If you just practice this technique for 30 days, your entire life will change in a very positive way. 1 month from now, you will be amazed at what has happened to you. The 10-goal exercise. Here's my favorite exercise in personal strategic planning, which launches the whole process of goal setting and leads to remarkable results. Wherever I go in the world, and I've conducted seminars in 82 countries, I give this exercise to my seminar participants. Take out a sheet of paper, write down 10 goals for the next year in the present tense, and then put it away, like a Christmas wish list. When I return to these cities and countries years later, I meet people who have taken this advice. They come up to me at my seminars all over the world to tell me that this simple exercise has changed their lives. They have often put the list away and not looked at it for a year. When they take it out, they're amazed at how many of their goals have been achieved in that time period. Writing your goals down just once programs them into your subconscious mind and activates your superconscious faculties. Writing and rewriting them each day accelerates the process of goal attainment. When you write down your goals every single day, you get 10, 20, 50, and even 100 times the effect of writing them down once. You stimulate your mind into producing incredible ideas to help you achieve your goals. You activate the law of attraction and begin attracting people, circumstances, ideas, and resources into your life that help you in the most remarkable ways. By the law of correspondence, your outer world will start to become a reflection of your inner world. Without even trying, you will begin thinking about your goals most of the time. The more you think about your goals, the faster you will move toward them, and the faster they will move toward you. Your whole life will begin to change for the better. Think on paper. One of the most important habits you can develop to increase your return on energy is the habit of thinking on paper. Always have a pen in hand when you think, plan, and organize. Writing things down clarifies your thinking and crystallizes your ideas. Something miraculous happens between the head and the hand. The very act of writing something down activates your visual, auditory, and kinesthetic senses. You see it, you say it to yourself, and you physically write out the words. These three modalities in combination seem to impress what you are writing deeper and deeper into your subconscious mind. This has an ever greater impact on your thoughts, feelings, and behavior afterwards. Most successful people think on paper. Most failures do not. Start each day with a list. Develop the habit of beginning each day with a list of everything you have to do that day. The very best time to make out your daily list is the night before, at the end of the working day. This allows your subconscious mind to work on your list of activities all night long while you are sleeping. Often, you will wake up in the morning with insights, ideas, and answers to your problems. Develop the habit of setting clear priorities on your list before you begin work. Instead of throwing yourself at the door like a dog chasing after a passing car, Take a few minutes to organize your list. Determine the tasks and activities that will give you the highest ROE for the amount of time that you invest. 5 questions to keep yourself focused. Here are 5 questions that you can ask over and over again until they become a habit, guiding you to always using your time at the very highest level. Question number 1. Why am I on the payroll? First ask, why am I on the payroll? What have I been hired to accomplish? What specific measurable results are expected of me at my work? If I were trying to explain to someone else why they pay me at my job, what reasons would I give? Most people fall into the habit of thinking that because they are at work, they are working. They confuse activities with accomplishments. They're often busy all day doing more and more things of less and less importance. At the end of the day, they claim to be exhausted or stressed out, but they've accomplished very little. They fail to ask themselves, why exactly am I on the payroll? Number 2, what are my highest value activities? Second, develop the habit of asking, what are my highest value activities? What are the most important things you do each day? If you were to take a list of all your activities, tasks, and potential results to your boss and ask him to select the 3 most important things you do, what would he say? If you are your own boss, remember there are usually only 3 tasks or activities that account for 90% or more of the value you contribute to your business. Almost everything else you do is a support activity for those 3 tasks. What are the 3 most valuable things you do in your work? Number 3, you and only you. Third, develop the habit of asking, what can I and only I do that if done well will make a real difference? The answer to this question is a task that you and only you can do. If you don't do it, it will not be done by someone else. But if you do it and you do it well, it can make the biggest single contribution to your work and your company at that moment. What is it? Number 4, what one thing? Fourth, develop the habit of asking this question. If I could only do one thing all day long, what one thing contributes the greatest value to my company? If you were to list everything you do on a piece of paper, you would find one task that, if you did it consistently and repeatedly all day long, would contribute more value than any of your other tasks or even all your other tasks put together. What one task or activity would contribute the very most to your work and your life if you could do it all day long? How could you organize your time and your work so that you focus more and more on this single task? One of the most important keys to personal effectiveness is for you to develop the habit of spending more time and becoming more skilled at those few activities that contribute the greatest value to your work. Everything else you do is usually of lower value than these essential tasks. Number 5, what is the best use of your time? Fifth, and perhaps the most important characteristic in personal management, is the habit of asking, what is the most valuable use of my time right now? There's always an answer to this question for every minute and every hour. Your ability to accurately answer this question is the key to high performance, maximum productivity, personal effectiveness, and great success. In its simplest terms, people succeed because they develop the habit of consistently working on the one thing that can give them the highest return on energy and life out of all the possible things they could be doing at that moment. People fail because they are unable or unwilling to determine their true priorities, or because they are not disciplined enough to work at their key tasks exclusively until they are complete. Double your income, double your time off. In my coaching programs, I promise my clients that they will learn how to double their incomes and double their time off over the next 12 months. Recently, at the second session of the program, which was 90 days after the first session, Joanne stood up and told the group her story. She said, 3 months ago, when I first attended this program, I told Brian privately that I did not believe it was possible for me to double my income and double my time off. My situation was that I had been working for a fast-growing, high-tech business for 8 years, putting in 10 to 12 hours per day, 5 and 6 days per week. I was not spending enough time with my husband and my 2 children, and this was causing me and them an enormous amount of stress, but I saw no way out. Brian told me to make a list of all the things that I do in my work over the course of a month. I came up with 16 items. Without looking at the list, Brian told me to ask the key question. If you could only do one thing on your list all day long, which one activity would contribute the greatest value to your company? I quickly identified the one thing that seems to be the most important thing I do in my work. He then asked me to identify items number 2 and 3, asking the same question. Then, again without looking at the list, he said those 3 items would account for 90% or more of all the value I contribute to my company. Everything else could be delegated or outsourced to other people. As I reviewed the list, I saw that he was right. The next Monday morning at 10 a.m., I sat down with my boss and told him about the analysis I had done on my work. I told him that I needed his help to delegate, outsource, or eliminate the 13 items of low value on my list so that I could spend all my time working on the top 3. If I could focus on these 3 tasks, I told him, I believed that I could double my productivity and my value to the company. And if I was successful at this and doubled my output, I would like to be paid twice as much. My boss looked at the list and then looked up at me. He said, "You're absolutely right," he said. "These are the most important things you do. I'll help you delegate and outsource all these low-level tasks to free you up to work on your top 3 tasks. These are the 3 things you do that make the greatest difference around here." Joanne concluded, "The bottom line is that he did what he said he would do, and then I did what I said I would do. Within 30 days, I had cut my work week down to 8 hours per day, 5 days per week, and was producing more than twice as much as I had ever done before. My income doubled, and my time with my family doubled as well. It was an absolutely amazing process." Get control of your time and your life. One of the habits of personal management is for you to continually focus on those few things that only you can do, that if done well, will make a real difference in your work. Simultaneously, you must continually use your creativity not to find ways to do more things, but to find ways to eliminate, downsize, and outsource tasks that contribute very little to your life or work. The fact is, you can get control over your time and your life and increase your productivity, performance, and output only to the degree to which you stop doing things of low value. This is the only way you can free up more time to do those few things that really make a difference. Develop the habit of continually questioning every task and asking, does this task have to be done at all? Does this task have to be done by me? Does this task have to be done now? Is there anyone else who can do this task almost as well as I can? Whenever possible, delegate or outsource the task to someone else so that you can focus on the few things that only you can do that will really make a valuable contribution to your work. Practice the ABCDE method. In setting priorities so that you can increase your ROE, develop the habit of applying the ABCDE method to your work list each day before you begin. In using this method, develop the habit of thinking through the possible consequences of doing or not doing a particular task. A task for which there are serious potential consequences is a high priority task. A task for which there are very few consequences is a low priority task. The measure of consequences is the key determinant of whether it is something that you should do now, later, or not at all. Review your list of activities for the day and place an A, B, C, D, or E next to each one. An A task is something that you must do. There are serious consequences for doing it or not doing it. Completion of this task is essential to your success in your work or personal life. Identify all the A tasks on your list. If you have more than one A task, organize them by priority as A1, A2, A3, and so on. A B task is something that you should do. It needs to be done at some time. If you do not do this task, someone will be inconvenienced or unhappy. But there are only mild consequences for completion or non-completion. The rule is that you should never do a B task until you have finished all your A tasks. A C task is something that would be nice to do, but which has no consequences at all for you or anyone else. In other words, it doesn't really matter if the task is done or not. You should never do a C task when you have a B task left undone, just as you should never do a B task if you have an A task left undone. A D task is something that you can and should delegate to others. The rule is that you should develop the habit of delegating everything that can possibly be done by others to free up more of your time for the things that only you can do. An E task is something that you can and should eliminate as quickly as possible. You can only get control over your time to the degree to which you eliminate everything of low value and no value so that you can focus on just those things that really make a difference in your life and work. Your most powerful tool for success is your ability to think. Nowhere is this ability more important than when you use it to decide what you are going to do and in what order. The accuracy of your choices in deciding how you're going to spend your time largely determine everything that happens to you, and you are always free to choose. Practice the Pareto principle. Develop the habit of applying the 80-20 rule to everything you do. This rule, first stated by Vilfredo Pareto in 1896, says that 20% of what you do will account for 80% of the value of everything you do in any area. This means that 20% of your prospects will turn into 80% of your customers. 20% of your customers will buy 80% of your products or services. 20% of your products or services will account for 80% of your profits. This rule also means that 20% of your customers will account for 80% of your problems and expenses. In any list of 10 items, 2 of those items will be worth all the others put together. Make a habit of applying the 80-20 rule to every part of your business and personal life. Keep focused on the 20% of items or tasks that are worth several times the value of the other 80%, but that take the same amount of time and often even more. Most people allocate their time across the number of items they have to do, but highly productive people allocate their time based on the value of each task. You should do the same. Overcome procrastination. One of the most important personal management habits you can develop is the habit of overcoming procrastination and getting your most important job done first. In my book, Eat That Frog, by Barrett Kohler, which has become a worldwide bestseller in 42 countries, I explain a proven, practical process you can learn to organize your time and your life. Select your most important task, begin on that task, and work on it single-mindedly until it's complete. One of the principles I teach is based on the fact that you become what you think about most of the time. You also become what you say to yourself most of the time. Whenever you find yourself procrastinating, repeat to yourself firmly and emphatically the words, "Do it now. Do it now. Do it now." This phrase seems to get you refocused and stimulates you back into working on your key task. The more you discipline yourself to concentrate single-mindedly on your most important task and stay with it until it's done, the more energy you will have. Each time you complete an important task, your brain releases a neurotransmitter called an endorphin. Endorphins are responsible for making us feel happy and energized. They are called nature's happy drug. Each time your brain releases endorphins, you feel happy, exhilarated, motivated, positive, and enthusiastic. Endorphins make you feel more positive, creative, and confident. For example, each time you complete an important task, you get an endorphin rush, which stimulates and motivates you into doing even more. Getting the job done completely. Developing the habit of starting on your most important task and then working on it non-stop until it is 100% complete is a great time saver as well. Stretching out a task and working on it piecemeal is a great time waster. Let me explain. Each task has 3 parts. First, you warm up and get ready. Second, you work on the task. And third, you wind down and put things away. Each time you stop and start a task without completing it, you have to go through a warm-up and cool-down period that eventually leads to your spending as much as 500% of the time necessary to do the task if you were to stay at it until completion. It's estimated that when you stop working to respond to an electronic interruption, an email, text, or phone call, it takes about 17 minutes to get back to your work. The average adult checks email anywhere from 3 to 150 times per day. All this checking is a major reason for poor productivity and stress. Develop the habit of disciplining yourself to complete your tasks, whatever they are. Not only will you get more done, but task completion gives you the motivation and energy you need to accomplish even more. Single-minded concentration on one thing, the most important thing, is one of the most powerful habits you can develop for personal productivity. The personal productivity formula. There's a productivity formula like a recipe that you can learn and practice until it becomes automatic and easy. When you develop the habit of thinking in terms of these 7 key ways to increase your output, you can double your productivity, performance, and results in no time at all. Number 1, work hard. First, develop the habit of working longer and harder than other people. As I mentioned earlier in this book, start a little earlier, work a little harder, and stay a little later. Work all the time you work. When you start work, don't fool around. Get busy and stay busy all day long. This habit alone can increase your productivity 50 to 100% from the first day. 2, work fast. Second, develop the habit of working faster and getting the job done quickly. Pick up the pace. Move more rapidly from place to place and from task to task. Develop a sense of urgency, a bias for action. Become known as the person who gets things done quickly rather than the person who gets things done when you get around to them. Number 3, work smart. Third, develop the habit of doing the most important things first, as we have discussed throughout this chapter. Remember, everything you do has a value that makes it more or less important than every other thing you do. The law of the excluded alternative says doing one thing means not doing something else. Make sure that whatever you are doing is the most important thing you could be doing at that moment. Otherwise, you will end up putting more important tasks aside. The sad fact is, even if you do an unimportant task extraordinarily well, it will have no impact on your career. In fact, spending too much time doing a good job on something of low priority or value can damage your career because it keeps you from working on something that really matters. As management consultant Benjamin Trigo once wrote, the very worst use of time is to do very well what need not be done at all. Number 4, work on your strengths. Fourth, develop the habit of working on those things you are better at. There are special talents and skills that you have developed throughout your career, that enable you to do certain things quickly and well. You make fewer mistakes and therefore save an enormous amount of time in going back and making corrections. The more time you spend doing things you are better at, the better you get at those tasks, and the more of them you get done in a shorter period of time. What important tasks are you the very best at doing in your work? How could you organize your work so that you are doing more and more of them at a higher level? Commit to excellence. Earlier in my career, I was a copywriter for a large advertising agency. When I decided to get into copywriting, I went to the public library and checked out every book they had on the subject. I read, studied, and practiced writing advertising copy hour after hour, long into the night. When I finally got a job in the field, I wrote and rewrote advertising copy 8 to 10 hours every day, 5 days a week, under the close supervision of a senior copywriter. Today, I can write advertising copy that is clear, persuasive, and motivational as quickly and as easily as the average person can change the TV channel with a remote control. In my company, I can write excellent copy for our advertisements and brochures faster than anyone else. The same work might take other people many hours to do and at a lower level of quality. Number 5, work more efficiently. Fifth, develop the habit of bunching your tasks. This principle says that the more similar tasks you do, one after the other, the faster you will complete each subsequent task, and at the same or a higher level of quality. For example, answer all your emails at once. Write all your business proposals at once. Clear up all your correspondence or assemble all your expenses at the same time. Write all your reports at once. Do all your telephone prospecting at the same time. Efficiency experts calculate that if you have 10 similar tasks to do, and you do them all at once, one after the other, by the time you get to the 10th task, you will be working so efficiently that it will take you only 20% of the time it took you to do the first item on the list. Bunching your task is a powerful personal productivity habit. Number 6, work better. 6, develop the habit of continuously improving and getting better at your key tasks. This is one of the most effective time management principles of all. The better you become at what you do, the more of it you can get done in a shorter period of time. Sometimes, improving in one essential skill can have a multiplier effect, increasing your productivity and performance in many other areas of your work. For example, if you do not know how to type with a keyboard, you will use the hunt and peck method, typing with 2 fingers. And no matter how long you work, you will only be able to type 5 to 8 words per minute. However, if you decide to learn how to touch type, you could download any one of several popular touch typing computer programs, practice 20 to 30 minutes each day, and within 90 days you will be touch typing at 50 to 80 words per minute. You will have increased your productivity and output in typing by 1,000%. You will have opened the entire world of the internet for yourself by developing a single skill which can be learned by anyone. What one skill could you develop that could help you use more of your other skills at a higher level? If you could be absolutely excellent in any single skill, which one would have the greatest positive impact on your career and your income? What can you do starting today to develop that skill? Whatever it is, set it as a goal, make a plan, and then work on improving yourself in that area every day until you have mastered the skill and made it part of your personal skill set. Number 7, prepare for work. To get the most out of yourself and your life and to increase your return on the investment of your time, you should develop the habit of preparing thoroughly for every meeting and interview, both inside your company and with people on the outside. Thorough preparation takes little time at the beginning but can lead to tremendous savings of time later on. The value of preparation. Some time ago, I was asked by the executive vice president of a large company to attend its annual business meeting and lead the group through a strategic planning exercise. As it turned out, this company had a very headstrong and dominating president who dominated every discussion of strategy, allowing little or no input from the other executives. As a result, the other executives were demoralized and the company was floundering in the marketplace. The executive vice president organized the day so that I was introduced as a surprise facilitator to the president and the team of senior executives. If I was not successful in bringing this group together, the consequences for the company could be serious. I therefore asked him to send me the outlines and agendas from their previous executive committee meetings. I received about 200 pages of notes and observations that had been typed up and distributed over the previous year. The amount of information was almost overwhelming. Nonetheless, I was determined to do a good job. I sat down and spent 12 solid hours reading, reviewing, and taking notes from the discussions that had taken place in the past. I noticed that the president was continually quoting Peter Drucker and Tom Peters to make his points. As it happened, I was intimately familiar with the work of both management experts. When the meeting began, everyone took their places around a large U-shaped table. The executive vice president who had brought me in stood up, introduced me, and told everyone, including the president, that he had invited me to facilitate the discussion. Everyone looked at each other and at the president and then back to me. The room was filled with tension. I stood up and thanked them for inviting me. I told them that I had carefully studied the notes of their proceedings and discussions from the previous year, and I addressed each of the key executives by name, having memorized their names and backgrounds prior to the meeting. Finally, I looked right at the president, who was standing up ready to intervene, and I told him I have always been a big fan of Peter Drucker and Tom Peters. The president stopped where he stood and looked at me with amazement. I then quickly mentioned several books and ideas from each writer, which I had read and studied thoroughly. There was silence while everyone waited for him to react. After a few moments, he sat back down in his chair and said, "Great, you take over the meeting." The outcome of that session and subsequent sessions was very productive. We accomplished an enormous amount and achieved tremendous success formulating a new strategic plan. The tension and stress that had been disrupting the group disappeared. Everyone became happy and relaxed. The entire group became highly cohesive and productive. Afterwards, a couple of the executives came up to me and said, "You probably saved this company." Preparation was the key. Whenever I think of the amount of time and effort that is necessary to prepare for any speech, seminar, meeting, or strategic planning session, I remind myself of that experience. I may have invested 12 hours, but it was worth every minute. Customers always know when a salesperson is thoroughly prepared. Juries always know when a lawyer is thoroughly prepared. Prospective employers always know when an applicant is thoroughly prepared. Make it a habit to do your homework and get all your ducks in a row prior to any important meeting. Sometimes, the element of preparation is the critical factor that enables you to impress everyone present and achieve great success. No such word. Not long ago, I was preparing to give testimony in a large lawsuit in Los Angeles. I met with the senior trial lawyer for several hours. At the end, he turned over a box of materials to me and said, "I hope you will have a chance to read through this material before you testify." I replied, "I always believe in preparing thoroughly for every important meeting. In fact, I believe in over-preparing." He looked me straight in the eye, smiled, and said, "I do not believe there is such a word." I learned later that he was one of the most skilled and highest-paid lawyers in the United States. In that one case alone, he went on to save his client more than $300 million as the result of his commitment to over-preparing. You should do the same. The wonderful advantage of developing the habit of thorough preparation is that it gives you a tremendous sense of confidence and competence when you go into every meeting. It gives you a psychological edge that enables you to perform at your best and can win you great business and personal victories that can change the whole direction of your life. Be on time every time. Another important habit for you to develop is the habit of punctuality. Less than 5% of people are punctual every single time, and everybody knows who they are. They stand out. They are admired and respected by others. Opportunities open for them. They are considered more valuable and more competent than others simply as the result of habitual punctuality. Legendary football coach Vince Lombardi, when he took over the Green Bay Packers, found that the players often arrived at the bus after the scheduled time of departure. He therefore instituted what he called Lombardi time, which started 15 minutes before the scheduled time. From that day forward, if the bus was leaving at 10 a.m., everyone was expected to be on the bus by 9:45 a.m. If they weren't on time, the bus left without them, and they didn't get to play the next day. This only had to happen once for the players to get the message. Remember, anything you do repeatedly soon becomes a new habit. Resolve that just for today, you will be punctual for every meeting. Don't try to change your whole life at one time. Live in what Dale Carnegie called day-tight compartments. Focus on changing one behavior at a time, one day at a time, until it locks in and becomes permanent. Resolve to be punctual to your very next appointment or meeting. Then, resolve to be punctual for the next meeting as well. Do this one meeting or event after another until it becomes automatic and easy. In no time at all, you will have developed the habit of punctuality. Other aspects of your life will seem to change and improve at the same time. Determine your limiting factor. An important key to personal productivity is for you to develop the habit of determining the constraint that sets the speed on achieving a specific goal in any area of your life. Begin by identifying a goal that you want to achieve. This can be a financial, personal, or health goal. Then ask, what factor sets the speed at which I can achieve this goal? For example, if you want to increase your sales, the constraint or bottleneck could be the number of prospects you talk to each day. If this is your key constraint, focus all your creativity and energy on alleviating this one constraint. Focus on organizing your time and activities so that you increase the number of people you see each business day. In your business, your goal could be attaining a particular financial result. What sets the speed at which you achieve it? It is essential that you identify the correct constraint before you focus on alleviating it. Jim Collins, in his book Good to Great, points out how important it is for you to identify the correct economic denominator in your business. This is the critical number that determines the success or failure of a particular activity or of your entire enterprise. For example, your limiting factor in increasing your sales might not be the number of prospects you speak to, but the quality of each of those prospects. By applying the 4 marketing principles we discussed earlier, you could identify prospects with far higher likelihoods of buying and focus your efforts on them. Perhaps it is your basic sales skills that are at issue. Maybe the critical constraint on increasing your sales revolves around your ability to make an effective sales presentation and get the customer to act. If this were the answer, the solution would be for you to focus your creativity and energy on upgrading your sales skills rather than frantically flailing around in an effort to get in front of more people. Doubling the number of purchases. The best restaurants have identified the critical constraint to business growth. It is not the amount of food or drink each person consumes. This is largely fixed. No matter how artful the marketing or how polite the waiter, people are not going to eat or drink much more than they already do on average. Instead, The critical constraint in business growth for a restaurant and for many other businesses is how often happy customers return to the restaurant during the year. One of my restaurant clients found that the average guest was visiting the restaurant every 2 months. They then designed a program of customer service and satisfaction that was so effective that people began visiting the restaurant more often. First, they came an average of once every 6 weeks, and then once every 4 weeks. By using this strategy, my clients were able to double and triple the sales and profitability of their restaurant without the expensive advertising necessary to attract new diners. Repeat business rather than new business was the key to greater success. Look into yourself. Look at your own life and work. Ask yourself, what are the factors that determine how rapidly I achieve my most important goals? The 80-20 rule seems to apply to the subject of constraints in a special way. You will find that fully 80% of the constraints or limitations that are keeping you from achieving your goal are within yourself, not in the world around you. They are contained in your own attitudes, beliefs, fears, or lack of a particular skill or quality. Only 20% of your constraints are external to you or to your business. Develop the habit of looking into yourself for the solutions to your problems. Ask, what is it in me that is holding me back from achieving this goal? Whatever it is, identify it clearly, set a goal to overcome the limitation or develop the habit, and then take action on it every day until you are successful. As Robert Browning wrote, and I paraphrase, when a man's fight begins with himself, then he's really worth something. Change your thinking about time. When I was a young man, I would read an occasional book or article on time management. At that time, I had the idea that my life was like the sun, and time management was like one of the planets that orbited around it. The great change for me came when I realized that time management was the sun of my life, and everything else that happened to me was like planets in orbit around the way I used my time. This insight had a profound influence on my life and work. The rule is that if you improve the quality of your time management, you improve the quality of your life. Make it a habit to read about time management on a regular basis. Listen to audio programs and books on time management. Plan your time with an app and set up reminders for your key tasks. The fact is, you cannot become too good at time management. Every single method, technique, or strategy that you learn, apply, and develop into a habit will have an immediate positive effect on your life. When you develop a set of time and personal management habits that soon become automatic and easy for you from morning to night, you'll increase your productivity, performance, output, and income by 2, 3, or even 10 times. You will put your career onto the fast track. You will get more done in less time at a higher level and earn more money. Great success in whatever field you choose is simply a matter of developing the habits that are consistent with the achievement of extraordinary results. And all habits are learnable. Now here are some action exercises for you to put these ideas to work. Begin each day by rewriting your goals in the present tense in a spiral notebook. This programs them into your subconscious mind. Plan each day in advance, preferably the night before, by making a list of everything that you have to do that day. Organize your daily work list by priority using the 80-20 rule, the ABCDE method, or both. Overcome procrastination by starting first thing each morning on your most important and valuable task. Focus single-mindedly on each task, disciplining yourself to work at it non-stop until it is complete. Prepare thoroughly for every important meeting. Do your homework in advance so that you are always ready for anything that happens. Resolve to be punctual for every appointment and to complete every task before the promised deadline. Charles Dickens once wrote in David Copperfield, "I never could have done what I have done without the habits of punctuality, order, and diligence, without the determination to concentrate myself on one object at a time."